Chapter 1. Memories of the Days Gone. I have always wondered who has christened the endless expansive body of restless water as the sea. To me, it has always been a rightful combination of innocence and sin, virtue and vice. The chastity that belongs to the sea resembles the pure smile that would spread on my mother's face every time I saw her, in the dusty but enlightened corridors of time. At the same time, the sea, for me, is also symbolic of the passion and rage spotted in Abba's cadence. One thunderous summon would calm down all the rolling and rushing emotions of the family, very much like the sea silences after a storm. The same silence can be seen in this serene body of water, resting in the lap of solitude, whose insides are lifting with songs of praise and admiration. The sea, like me, is lost in the vastness of the sky. Once, I was also lost in the land of desire, a place where tales and time would play hide and seek. The time that has passed is nothing but a deep, vast sea, each wave representing a tale, moving forward and crashing so that a new chronicle can be born. There are characters in these stories, drinking from the springs of youth, turning old and feeble. Some live, some die. Some of them bloom the way freshly grown rose progresses from a bud. Some of these characters burst like corn in the feet of a weary traveler whose journey has been tough. Some swing pleasantly under the tree of life and enjoy the bliss of this exquisite journey. If this isn't life, then tell me what is. My life, your life, our lives. It teaches us to live and to adore ourselves. The tale is hidden in a way we live, the way we celebrate and adore ourselves. I also have a story to share. I am Salman Akbar, the storyteller of this tale. This dream of mine was born like a sapling in my heart, and I have fought hard to keep it safe from the thorns of distraction and boredom. People around me are occupied indulging in their ordinary, while I drench in the shower that wets the fertile soil of my heart. Of all the days that passed, this day has been chosen by my heart to submerge itself in the drizzle of memories. If I look around, I can see windows that open into distant memories of childhood, of youth. Voices come from these casements, luring me to them. I turn around and walk to one of these apertures and find myself standing outside Nali Haveli. Akbar Ali's blue mansion is not only the castle of my memories, but also the symbol of my identity. This is the same house whose doors and windows are my confidants. The courtyard of this mansion housed blessings and benedictions, and the Almighty has been very generous in showering them upon the mansion. It was a divine gift that only the laughter of people and chirping of birds was heard echoing at the same time. When my childhood summons me from the courtyard of this mansion, my heart leaps and misses a beat. My soul whispers to my heart, it is an obligatory to respond. And therefore, I do. The red-bricked courtyard would come to life in the morning as soon as Amma would take her seat. Like a queen, she would take her throne right after the morning prayers with a set of rosary beads in her hand. As soon as the seat was taken, the architecture of the blue mansion would bow down to her temper. Her thunderous voice was enough to wake the residents of the mansion from their deep slumber. Despite being tired to the core, the residents would jump out of their beds at one call, as they were aware of the consequences of not responding in time. To Amma, waking up early was one of her golden principles, and was never supposed to be broken or violated at any cost. My mother and her principles would wake up putting the desire to rest asleep. She neither compromised her habits nor allowed anyone else in the family to commit this sin. All the mornings I witnessed in the Blue Mansion were more or less the same. Every morning, the sun would rise, listening to Amma John's advice and warnings, striking the favorite chords of our hearts often. Such beautiful days they were, such peaceful times and disciplined people were they. They would leave their beds as soon as the rooster would crow. Those were when Hindus and Muslims would get offended if someone slept in late. How rare it is to have such a commodity now. It was a common belief that late sleepers lose all good luck. A passing thought of those times still brings me a feeling of awe and admiration. Those times produced many erudite and well-crafted individuals. Children would respect their elders, and elders would do so in return. It makes me wonder how changing a country can change the entire world. Thoughts of culture remind me of Aunt Zamanai, who was our neighbor and dear childhood friend to Amma. Her family was divided during the partition, and she was separated, so she was given refuge by her relatives. When her relatives migrated, she also came along. Her position in the house was the same as Amma's in our home. They would sit together and chat for hours. Amma would utter, "You are right. Nothing is the same now." Amma's intonation would rise with the temperature of the day because of the sun's scorching heat. A response to this statement would echo from the kitchen in the form of utensils cluttering deliberately, and Amma's smile would grow wider. Her contentment would start to show when she would lean her head against the pillow and close her eyes. The next moments would be translated as peace and solitude. But this contentment was short-lived, as spring in the urban jungle, where the sparrows and thrifts would fly away as soon as they would perch on a branch. Amma would reopen her eyes and start chatting with Aunt Zamani again. "Bua Zamani, do you recall how the neem in Abba's courtyard would always be crowded with sparrows who would chirp all day long? My younger brother always brought a catapult and threw stones at the little birds, who flew away in an instant. As soon as Baya would go in, the birds returned to their abode. Nothing changed. Neither Baya's habit of making the sparrows leave, nor the sparrows' habit of returning home. How I wish we were part of that bunch of chirping birds. Bua Zamani." A sigh would leave Amma's thin lips. Amma's heart was no older than a child's, whose only knew beating for the favorite. She would never miss a chance to run away from the concrete streets of the present to the dusty corridors of the past, as the air was laden with the sweet smell of her ancestral home. At this time, I was completely unaware of the enchanting presence of the past and how alluring it was for anyone. Youth is passionate, and I engrossed in my passion and ignorance, and would listen to Amma's tales of her past without feeling the longing that is visible now. Amma's heart and soul were wounded by the arrows of partition. Although she was sitting on this side of the land, the cords of her being entangled with wet clay on the other side, which she used in building houses at play when she was a child. Her lungs yearned for a whiff of the breeze from that side, so she would always bring up her past in every conversation that she had with anyone. She would talk of the spent times while chatting on the rosary beads. It seemed as if she chanted her memories instead of the name of the Almighty. Times have taught me that people who dwell in their past never live fully in their present. Now I feel that Amma's heart has crept into my chest. As I sit here reminiscing my golden days, the clock would sound loud as soon as the needle reached 6. This was the time when Abba's interagent would enter with milk. We had our dairy farm, so we liked to have tea made with fresh milk. Every morning, the aroma of cardamom tea enveloped the atmosphere around the blue mansion. Times have changed, as nothing is raw or pure anymore, neither milk nor people. The tea pan would boil along with Amma's temper. Would someone care to wake up the princesses of this house? I have told her multiple times to get up before the sun daily, but she behaves as if she has not heard it once. Amma's cannon would be directed towards my maternal uncle's wives, who resided on the top floor. Bahabi ji, I have heard it and remembered it for ages to come. I and my entire army are here. Chachi would respond heartily. Saying this, she would wait for a responsive counterattack, but she always knew with her huge smile. She had already steamed off Amma's anger. Cha-Cha had 6 sons and 9 daughters, so the entire clan was called Army, lovingly, by Chachi. When this army of Cha-Cha would come face to face with the battalion of the commander, Akbar Hassan, the house resembled a battlefield of Pinipat. And I, Salman Akbar, was one bashful, timid warrior.